A huge pill that I had to swallow recently was realizing that, damn, I might actually be the problem. I might actually be standing in my own way. I might actually be hating on my own self. So let's unpack that in today's episode. Welcome to Amber's Narrative. I'm your host, Amber Janelle. For those of you who may be new here, Amber's Narrative is a space to say some of the stuff that we've been had on our minds, but we were too afraid, too ashamed, or unwilling to say it out loud. Well, I'm saying it out loud. I'm sharing my truths, and I'm providing a platform for you all to share your truths as well. So, let's get into today's episode. What if you the problem? I realized that in some ways, I most definitely was the problem. I most definitely was my own hater. And I've talked about this in the past, but I feel like sometimes we don't talk about this enough. I'm extremely hard on myself. I am also a recovering people pleaser. So it's easy for me to point the blame and look at myself and try to figure out where I went wrong, what I could have done differently. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with self-evaluation, but sometimes that negative Nancy be on a roll. She be taking some stuff and running with it. And I really be hard on myself and disrespectful to myself and dishonoring myself. And I often feel like that the things that I do aren't good enough. So if you somebody like me that be too hard on yourself, it's time to get it together. I'm saying it to you and I'm saying it to me. And I also am going to provide some examples. Some of my most recent examples was, I don't know if some of you know, but one of my goals for 2026 was to go to nursing school. And life has just not been in alignment with me going to nursing school. I'm not saying that I can't go in the future, but right now it is not in alignment. But I didn't give up on going to school altogether. I took an alternative route and decided to get certified in medical billing and coding and then pursue a degree in health information technology. And it's a more flexible path because all of the classes are online. But, of course, that wench, negative Nancy, kept creeping back up, and I kept telling myself that wasn't good enough because I'm supposed to be going to nursing school. I kept telling myself that I was taking the easy way out. I kept telling myself so many things that weren't true and so many things that caused me to look at myself in a negative light. And then I did it again pertaining to this podcast because I stated in last week's episode that I tried to delete my whole entire podcast. Ooh, I'm getting tongue tied. I tried to delete my whole entire podcast, and I did delete some episodes, but I wasn't able to delete the whole platform. And I know that's not a coincidence. I realized that there was another way of me standing in my own way and being too hard on myself. I also realized that mindset is everything. So instead of focusing on all the things that could go wrong, focusing on all the things you feel like you're not doing, what if that energy that you using to put yourself down, what if you just decided that, what if it could work out? What if this is the right path? And even if it's not, so what? You'll have experiences from the journey. And that's been hard for me because I hate to say this out loud, but I don't like when stuff don't go my way. I don't like when I had this idea in my head and it goes totally different. But I'm pretty sure y'all might have heard some of the elderly people or seen the sayings on social media where it says, if you want to make God laugh, tell him what you got planned. So God probably hysterically laughing at me right now because I had so much that I felt like was in my plans. And it's when a lot of it hasn't went anything like I've planned it. But that doesn't mean that my life hasn't had some great moments. It's just, it hasn't went how I've planned it. And I tend to get really upset about that. I'm working on it, y'all. It's a work in progress. I'm a work in progress. I'm truly working on. I talk so much about growth, but we don't realize how deep some of our, not just trauma, but our mindsets, ideals, and beliefs can be. We can be so deeply invested in negativity that it consumes us. And it's definitely consumed me in more than one way. I talked a little bit about that recently too, that I was depressed. And I get into these funks and I feel like instead of life is happening, I feel like life is happening to me. And this is not for me to rant and rave or complain, or as my mother would say, hoop and holler. But I told you I was going to be raw. I told you I was going to be unfiltered. And so I'm sharing my truths. So my point of this episode is that I have to do better. I got to treat me better. And if you somebody that ain't been treating you right and you've been living for other people and doing things that dishonor you to honor someone else or please someone else, cut it out right now. And I mean right now. Because when you dishonor yourself, discredit yourself, you are missing out on who God created you to be. You are missing out on home. You are missing out on loving yourself how you deserve to be loved. And why would you do that to you? And like I said, I'm not just talking to you. I'm talking to me. So how can you stop being a hater? How can you stop being your own biggest hater? For me, it's not going to happen overnight. But one of the number one things I'm going to do is I'm going to keep showing up. This podcast is bigger than me having a conversation with y'all. This podcast puts me in a position to show up for me. Even if I'm the only one talking and nobody is listening, I'm going to keep showing up. So think about one thing that you can do to show up for you. And we often talk about, self-care. We talk about bubble baths and we talk about lighting candles and music. Those are beautiful things. But everything that we need to do to take care of ourselves starts in our mind. Physical health is important, but we don't realize how important our mental is. We don't realize how important it is to self-regulate and take care of our mental. So what is one thing that you can do to take care of you mentally, physically, spiritually, all of it? Think about it, write it down, and I hope y'all have enjoyed today's episode. I'll see y'all next week. Peace and love.